Hey, wonderful people, welcome to my channel. Continuing our discussion on the intimacy series. Now we come to Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Let's take a couple of examples from there and see how the dynamics of intimacy match. Now you gotta go to the rules which I've already listed, but just on the sidebar. We talk of intimacy, and in what terms am I speaking of? Something beyond the flesh and bones, something beyond which is very deeply internal. So you're living with a person, you're dating a person, whatever the situation might be. You want to know what's going behind the eyes, what's going on deeply internal in the person. That's intimacy, in my little definition at least. Once you know that, whatever the kind of man or woman it is, you know the deeper dynamics of being a human. This is as human as it gets. This is what we are here to do in terms of bonding with another, in terms of giving allowance to the other to be as they are. You be as you are, and I'll be as I am. If this single theme does not play in the dynamics of your intimacy, if your relationship, whether you're married, whether you are in dating, doesn't matter. The thread that should run through your relationship factors should be this, and that's what I'm exploring. People always jump to the conclusions when it comes to astrology, which is a big mistake in my opinion, because they ignore the present. They always go to the futuristic stuff, which is definitely the mind, isn't it? Mind struggles with the present. It wants to go to the past or it wants to jump to the future. Eckhart Tolle speaks about this very nicely in The Power of Now, but never mind. Let's get back to this. So her moon now is in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, and his moon is in the fourth position, which is in Shatabhisha in Aquarius. Let's see what this brings. So also when you come to Rakshasagana, always be having this in mind. The energy is quite intense. The energy is quite tamasic in nature. All Rakshasaganas are. The energy is more self-centric than other-focused. The energies can run pretty dry, pretty fast. There is not much of emotional content there like Devgana is. This is the contrast between the two. And later on I shall do the mismatched pairs, because that goes on a lot in this civilization, isn't it? Even in India, there's a lot of conquest battles. You don't want a conquest battle or power dynamics playing out in a relationship. That's not the whole purpose. Might as well be in a corporate world for that. That's where all the battles are being played out, not in the bedroom. Anyway, let's get back to the dynamics of this. Jyeshtha, Scorpio woman versus Shatabhisha, Aquarius man. The 4-10 axis, as you can see in the screen. This pairing is one of emotional command meeting ideological distance, a bond where private emotional gravity and public intellectual purpose must be learned to coexist without erasing one another. See the power dynamic. It will be there in all Rakshasaganas, 100%. Any amount of matching you do, Rakshasagana will have a power dynamic built in. This is not an easy domestic dynamic. This is power held in different dimensions. The core weaving will be, he requires, or rather she requires, Jyeshtha woman. Okay, just a side here. If you remember the theme of Jyeshtha Nakshatra, it has a theme of being the elder one. Jyeshtha means in Sanskrit the elder one. The mythology goes, she was the eldest of the wives of the moon. The 27 nakshatras are called the 27 wives of the moon. So Jyeshtha, she was a beautiful woman, and she was the eldest of the 27 wives. And yet, when the younger ones came in, moon tended to neglect her. So she's always has this authority about her, saying, I'm the elder one, you have to listen to me. So Jyeshtha people always have this signature, moon Jyesthas, that I'm the elder one, you're supposed to listen to me. Sometimes they end up being the elder one in the family also. Or even if they're younger one, they'll be having a mannerism of, I'm the elder one, you have to supposed to listen to me. You know, that energy. So, emotional authority, survival intelligence, loyalty enforcement. Scorpio in Jyeshtha becomes very law enforcement kind of people. If Mars and Saturn kind of land up here, they end up in law enforcement, military. Very strong at that. Protective dominance, hierarchy awareness, crisis leadership, say. Psychological depth. Jyeshtha governs inner sanctum of relationship. She needs emotional loyalty. You have to be loyal to me. I'm the elder one. That's what she speaks. She needs a lot of privacy, a lot of trust that which will survive pressure. Shatabhisha, on the other hand, is airy fairy, right? It's a very etheric nakshatra. If you go through the themes of nakshatras, it's abstract. It's ruled by Varuna. It's air sign. Aquarius, systems thinker, ideological independence, reformer mindset. This is him in this case. Emotional detachment, unconventional values, autonomy driven purpose. Shatabhisha governs the outer mission of life. He orients towards causes, social causes. 11th house Aquarius. Futuristic thinking, frameworks larger than personal emotion. So his mind is working somewhere else and she wants something else. Let's see how this plays. The access, the 410 access first. What does that provide? Emotional security versus public direction, private power versus ideological purpose, containment versus detachment. Scorpio, fourth from Aquarius, fourth from Scorpio, gives emotional roots, psychological safety, private bonding. Aquarius, on the other hand, is interested in public role, social vision, intellectual contribution. Okay? So the feminine, how does she bond? That's what we need to get to. After all, we're talking about intimacy in this case. Bonds through emotional loyalty, trust under pressure, depth of attachment, expresses love by protecting, managing emotional threats, holding private sphere together. Intimacy is a very private cocoon. Needs emotional transparency, reassurance of loyalty, psychological closeness. There's the keyword. Psychological closeness is what Jyeshtha needs. Feels safe when the relationship is emotionally sealed and exclusive. They want exclusive stuff. Both Anuradha and Jyeshtha in Scorpio. Scorpio wants everything for myself. This is a one man woman because she's Scorpio in this case. Rooted attachment, private authority, emotional command. It's a protective type of dominance she needs. Scorpio is very dominant. It's ruled by Mars and Ketu. Masculine moon, on the other hand, the Shatabhisha man. He's also Rakshasgana, but he bonds through shared ideals, intellectual respect. If the Jyeshtha woman is hooked up with the Aquarius man, in this case Shatabhisha, you better have respect for his cerebral capacity. They have immense cerebral capacity, Shatabhisha. Immense. But if they're not appreciated, they can get really attacked or feel attacked, or they may end up attacking. Non-invasive partnership, see, expresses love from a distance, problem solving, enabling independence. He is independent. Aquarius is as independent as they come, and it demands that kind of independence also from you. Needs what? What are his needs? Freedom of movement. All air signs will require that. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Freedom of movement. It's air. It needs to move. You can't trap it in a room. Ideological space. Let him think whatever he wants. He'll come up with the most fantastic ideas. Emotional non-interference. Feels secure when he is not emotionally confined or monitored. The keywords here for him is detached loyalty. He observes from a distance. He's not interested in hooking up. You can't hook air, okay? Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. They are movers. Mission-oriented bonding. Autonomous intimacy. Rakshasa here being boundary sovereignty, not coldness. You respect boundaries with Aquarius. You respect boundaries with Libra. You respect boundaries with Gemini. All air signs. Sexual intimacy dynamics follows as desire depends upon emotional safety for her. Desire for him depends upon mental freedom. How it changes. These are different needs. These are not the same needs. Sexuality may ebb and flow with life, stress, and public obligations because it's that 410 dynamic playing, isn't it? Personal life versus public life. work-life balance, so to speak. Intimacy thrives in privacy, silence, and emotional containment. Arousal. For her, it is loyalty, reassurance, emotional presence, and protected intimacy. So she requires all these keywords. For him, trust without intrusion, intellectual respect, and freedom preserved. So the best possible outcome here would be quiet bonding, off-grid intimacy. They can do lots of unconventional things as I see this pair. Because she just wants to protection from him while he wants freedom. As long as this is kept, this rule is kept. This is why it's important to understand these things. You can have a fantastic time. Sort of very off-grid intimacy. We don't explain ourselves kind of closeness. We are who we are as a couple. You become that strong couple. The risk being emotional security versus emotional distance, private loyalty clashing with public commitment, 410 dynamic, surveillance versus withdrawal. Say, Aquarius is very penetrative in Shatabhisha, especially. It wants to penetrate everything, know about everything. Very cerebral, very penetrative cerebral kind of thinking is Shatabhisha. Go through the Nakshatra playlist if you want more. Power struggles over availability. Are you available? Shatabhisha is difficult to control. It's hardly available. It just tends to go off on a tangent. Shatabhisha people. Moon in Shatabhisha. Emotional isolation inside of a relationship. She might feel like that. Definitely. Because she needs more of that emotional closeness, being in Scorpio. How does Rakshasagana play here? Both are Rakshasagana, but the power dynamics change. Jyeshtha, power through emotional depth and loyalty enforcement. She wants to enforce that loyalty. Jyeshtha Nakshatra is really strong in this. Either moon or an ascendant. If your ascendant is in Scorpio and Jyeshtha, you will enforce that kind of listen to me first. What I'm doing is correct. You don't know what you're doing. That energy is really strong, especially in ascendant. Shatabhisha, power through autonomy, vision, and social distance. Shatabhisha says, take two steps back, all right? You don't think you are everybody in this world. The strength, this pairing can form deeply resilient but unconventional bond. Yes, there is that signature. This bond is quite unconventional, especially when both respect each other's domains. That's the key to making this thing work. The danger is without conscious emotional agreements, this becomes a lonely relationship inside of a committed structure. You might be married for 20,000 years. Nobody cares. How are you making it work on a day-to-day basis? That's intimacy at its best. Not what you're trying to accomplish and show off to the world. Jyeshtha loves to do that. Show off my husband, my husband. She will be doing that in this case. Because the husband says, I'm an independent person of my own. Just tone it down a little. Introduce me by name, not by a role. That can figure in. So this is very intense, structurally demanding and emotional selection kind of a pairing. Let us see another combination. What shall we do next? Let us take 1-7 dynamic. We haven't taken that. Let us place this guy in the 7th position from Jyeshtha, which now becomes Taurus in Krittika. I'm only matching Gana here. We'll do the mismatches later on. So let's begin. Jyeshtha, she is still the same, but the man now is sitting in Krittika Nakshatra within Taurus. Okay? The dominant portion of Krittika is in Taurus. Only the first pada is in Aries. Where's Aries guy? Yeah, the 6th house. Don't try to match 6, 8, 12. Please don't have disaster scenarios in your bedroom. Okay, let's get to the dynamics of it. I won't go through the Scorpio again because you know her characteristics. What is his now? What is she got to match with as the elder one? Boundary enforcement, survival fire. Krittika is a knife that cuts. Moral clarity, physical authority, endurance, protector instinct, and cutting decisiveness. Krittika people are good in management because they are very decisive in their ways. Krittika and Taurus is contained fire, steady, territorial, unyielding ones committed. They're quite committed. So the 1-7 axis is the mirroring principle, the dynamic attraction. The self versus other, the control versus resistance, the identity versus projection. How does this Feel this relationship feels fated, unavoidable, magnetic attraction. There is magnetism here. You are either engaged or you are at war with one another. 1-7 axis typically is like this. Doesn't matter which gana you take. The feminine moon, loyalty testing, emotional depth for her Jyeshtha, and power recognition. Identity based attachment, dominance through insight, and survival bonding. Rakshasa Gana here demands emotional authority, not chaos. What about him? Bonds through provision, protection, physical reliability, and moral clarity. Expresses love by holding ground, enforcing boundaries, sustaining the bond materially. Taurus is materialistic. He's looking for money. He's looking for material prosperity. He's looking for physical stuff. Needs respect, predictability, and non manipulative intimacy. You can't manipulate Krittika. He's very sharp. Feels secure when the relationship is loyal, exclusive, and stable. Controlled fire, not volatility. Sexual intimacy and dynamics playing out as magnetic, confrontational, territorial, deeply embodied. One is an earth sign, one is an water sign. They can support each other if you take the elemental part, because earth is holding the water, isn't it? Always. So he has to become the holding vessel for her, so to speak. Desire ignites through opposition. Sexuality is possessive, grounding, and intense. Strong polarity between psychological control, which is her, versus physical presence, which is him. Intimacy often follows after a confrontational or emotional standoffs. These are the kind of relationships where they have fights and next minutes they are doing it like rabbits in the bedroom or anywhere or on the kitchen shelf, wherever. Loyalty proven under pressure. Jyeshtha woman. Emotional fearlessness, partner's steadiness. Krittika wants trust, physical closeness, respect for boundaries. You can't cross Kritika's boundaries, he'll cut you off. So the risky keywords become power struggles, emotional manipulation. She is quite manipulative, being Jyeshtha, okay? Being in Scorpio is quite manipulative. That's how they make good in law enforcement. But you can't bring law enforcement to the bedroom. This is where the dynamics have to be understood. Control through fear versus control through withdrawal. Trust erosion through testing. Exhaustion from constant polarity. 1-7. So this is a high intensity pairing, fated, confrontational, sexually magnetic, psychologically exhausting if unconscious. Can be really exhausting. Best for those who value depth, loyalty, strength, embodied intimacy, truth under pressure. There's a lot of pressure in this dynamic. Not ideal for those seeking ease, emotional softness, or low conflict companionship. I think I will call it stops for this one in this, since we can go on to even Magha Nakshatra. She will be paired good with Magha. That will be a 10-4 dynamic. She can also be paired with Chitra in Virgo, because that's a 11-3 dynamic. You can do that analysis. I kept all the files and shared it in the description box or in the community tab. You can go through the intimacy files. Do some matching on your own. I think it will give you a very good sense of grounding of what these principles are like and how they play out. I shall see you in the next. Take care.